what's happening, Bites? Welcome to another exciting episode of Reality Bites Podcast SA right here on YouTube. And tonight, we're going to speak about things that you did not know about this particular guest. But before we get to our guest, let's talk about our guest co-host. He was so profound and so magical in his interview that we decided, you know what, just bring him on and be a guest co-host on Reality Bites. It's none other than Jamie Thurston Weingart.
I'm honored. No, Lucian, I had such a good time with you guys. When you asked me to join you guys, I thought, definitely I'm here for this.
No, we had to bring you on because that brain needs to be shared with the nation.
Girl, I wish I could even share it with myself. I was playing with myself a few times.
Well, I said that to myself, to clone myself, but no, I like me. Me, being the original. But now, enough about you, Jamie.
It's not about me.
It's about
our guest.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Very sweet.
Very sweet.
I can taste it already from this distance.
A legend.
A legend, a pioneer,
an icon.
Field. Oh, okay, carry on.
It's none other than
Suga.
Hi guys.
Work on how we coordinate, but it's good to have you here.
Oh wow, what an honor. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's wonderful to be here,
The
guys.
time you made for us is appreciated. I say that with a bigger smile on my face because you always have the biggest smile wherever you go.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thanks,
you.
Sugar, or should I say Suga?
Well, that is a conversation that we have quite a lot on the show. It is sugar, but sometimes it becomes Suga, and it becomes a bit of a light moment in the show. Jeremy Harris particularly does not take very kindly to it being Suga, and so we always have a bit of a light moment when somebody says that on our WhatsApp line, for example.
I can imagine, because imagine somebody calls me Lucen. I'll be like, excuse me, my mother gave that name a beautiful reference. It's Lucian.
Lucian.
But Sugar, for those who don't know, I mean, you've been in the business for over 20 years, a pioneer in the game of radio and MCing. And people don't know that you're also a qualified chef. But before we get there, how did the journey start for Sugar?
So my radio journey started back at UCT. I went to UCT to study, and back then they had these societies that you as a first year could join. And my friend said, come, let's just go to the Students' Union, which was this cool place, and all the students were there playing cards, clavajas, or playing pool. And there was a little window in the wall, and that was UCT Radio. And I went inside because I actually had a friend that was on the radio station. Mm-hmm. But back then we were not a proper commercial radio station. We didn't have a frequency, we didn't have a license. So we were just broadcasting to campus. And I sat down on this dirty red velvet couch. And there were these little forms that were floating around. And I was like, oh, I'd like to join this society. And there was a gentleman there who happened to be the station manager of UCT Radio at that stage. And he said, no, women don't belong on radio.
Oh, wow.
What? When was this? This was probably years ago.
This was years ago. Years and years and years ago. I don't think there were any female presenters on UCT Radio at that stage. And I said, okay, well, that sounds like a challenge. I actually remember saying that to him. And I said, give me the piece of paper. I filled it in. And from then on, I was at the radio station every day. I think I made a bit of a nuisance of myself, so they had to give me a show at some stage. And then eventually, as it progressed throughout my years at UCT, I actually presented a lunchtime show with a guy called Robin. And that was even during holidays. That's where you'd find me. I would take my dad's bicycle and cycle from my house to UCT, even during the holidays, to go and do my lunchtime show. And I did a lot of shows on UCT Radio. And then like a few years later, we then did some fundraising so that we could actually get a frequency. And we could only raise, at that stage, it was 25,000 Rand, which was
a lot
of money. A lot of money. And I think we got like a half a frequency decimal movement point next to SAFM's frequency. So we were 104.9, actually.
Oh, wow.
That was 104.5, because now I'm 104.9.
I was about to say now, like,
Now I'm 104.9. It was 104.5 UCT radio.
I wanted to ask on that. Did you pursue and become so passionate in radio because it was a challenge, or because you actually wanted to do it?
Look, I've got to say that I always loved music, and growing up in our house, our home, growing up, I wasn't really allowed to watch TV after 8 o'clock. And so supper time was 6 o'clock, and then my job was to clean up the kitchen
Yeah.
and do all of that stuff.
I was here too.
You
know
know
that, Jamie, that era?
I was last born. Huh?
Okay, so you didn't have to do that.
Spoiled.
Spoiled, yeah. You didn't have to do anything. So the radio was my constant companion. I would wake up with the radio.
Yeah.
I'd go to sleep with the radio. I remember listening to some of the legendary DJs on Metro FM. There was a guy called Treasure Shabalala. He had this deep voice. And he would broadcast in the middle of the night to the truckers. I think his show was called Just Trucking, actually.
I think so it was, yeah.
And that was my constant companion. So I would also wash the dishes and listen to the radio. And then I found myself, and I'll never forget this moment too, because it was such a moment for me. Lee Downs was on. He had the nighttime show at Good Hope, and he played 2 songs. And I was listening to this transition, and I was like, did he do that live? This is the radio. Did he mix 2 songs together? I'll never forget it. It was 112, Candy Rain, into Tupac's How Do You Want It? Because there's a moment in Candy Rain where it goes, "Meneta," and then at that moment, he brought in the
switch.
How do you want it? And I was just like, what? This is crazy. I have never forgotten that moment, because I definitely feel that moment was the moment when I just realized music is my life. I also wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that. I wanted to be able to create a cool, smooth transition between songs. Little did I know that he wasn't mixing it because it was a radio station, but that then went on to become me then going to teach myself how to actually beat mix
pursue that.
and pursue that. So yeah, it was kind of, I think the challenge was the cherry on top of the cake of I love music. Music is my life. I'm with music every day, and I didn't at that stage think it was going to be my career, because I had other plans.
Because you got such a good ear for music, but nobody knows where it started.
Yeah.
With a Lee Downs mix in his show.
Yeah, and I've told him this so many times, so I would just say thank you. And later on, when I did my own gigs, when I started doing, DJ gigs, that was one of the transitions, and because it always felt so good, because it always felt good and it always worked. So if there was a moment where you needed to pull like a fly something out of your record bag, it would be that one,
Oh, I love that. So yes, Lee Downs gave you that moment.
Yeah.
You felt it. It's imprinted, and now you just realize destiny just unfolded right there.
Amazing.
And so when your station manager then station manager of UCT said, no, you created your own yes man. So you want to say, you know what, I'm going to do this because it's men there, it's a man's world, but I can do that too.
I would definitely say would say yes, but I also, now that I've been thinking about it a lot, I come from an era where the conversation was always, oh, but you're a girl, you can't do that. Oh, the boy must do that because he's the boy. And I grew up in a family like that. And I definitely know that I never wanted to do things that only girls must do and can do. That's never been...
Don't box me in.
Yes, I've never felt comfortable with that. So I think it's a culmination of a lot of things. But that definitely, it's still to today. I don't want to be told that I can't do something because I am a woman or I am female. You can't drive that car. Oh, because that's not a lady's car. No, give me the car. I want to drive the car. I want to feel the car. I love cars. I love driving. So those are just like some examples of just because I am a woman, I'm feminine, I am, female, doesn't mean...
I could do a man's job.
and then I'm also not saying that because
There shouldn't even be a thing
you
of
know, it's
managing
like,
job. It's just a
but-
job.
Correct.
I want to be the best at my job that I can be for me. But don't try it, you don't belong because you are a woman. Because that's going to challenge me, and I am not going to back down.
Nice.
Because I am going to show you that I'm able to do
100%.
it.
What I love about this is even you speaking of who you've listened to and where you become, are you aware that people have been listening to you, myself included, and have become inspired? Like I also went into radio when I was younger, and one of my icons was you.
Wow.
And we know there's a lot of other youth, and even just listening to you now speaking from a woman's point of view, I didn't listen to think, oh, this is a girl on radio.
Yeah.
I think when I grew up, it wasn't about those things anymore.
True.
I love
But
that.
you are inspiring because the thing with radio, before I even met you, you don't know I don't know who I'm looking to, who I'm listening to.
Exactly.
There's no face to radio.
Yeah.
So you imagine who this person is, you imagine what's going on, and that's I don't know if I call it the beauty of radio or I call it the illusion of radio, but with that, the listeners get to develop their own persona of you.
Because your first relationship with the person that you're hearing on the radio is the voice.
It's the voice.
And I feel I actually I prefer those days when, it wasn't like live broadcasts during the radio show, filming happening as it is today. I mean, my first, at Good Hope, our studio was in the corner on the second floor. Nobody could come and see us. Nobody could come and walk around. Now, studios are like on ground floor and surrounded by glass. So you feel like you are in a fishbowl. But I think that was part, you're right, the mystery of it, the fact that you are creating these pictures in your mind, because ultimately that's also what I'm doing. I'm painting a picture for you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you a story. I'm trying to lift you, engage you. I am, as they say, theater of the mind. You are imagining what I am saying. I'm painting the picture, and in your mind, the picture is being drawn. And so for me, that was so interesting. Don't. It's not about me. It's the first contact. The first point is the voice, and the voice can encapsulate. It can.
Especially yours.
Use your imagination.
Wow! Thank you.
Open your imagination to, like you said, picture everything.
Absolutely.
Because
it transports you.
transports
it
you.
takes you to another place. And I think that definitely also ties in with, just the wanting to, in whatever field, in whatever manner, in whatever way, to make people feel seen,
Yeah.
celebrate them as human beings, and paint pictures and
There's
create
transition now,
stories.
even now, of you're saying from being in a small corner to being in a fishbowl. How has that affected you? Because you're saying you preferred being in the corner
Yeah.
actually, but now more people recognizing you and knowing you and seeing your face.
Yeah.
How's that changed for you?
It's something that I'm still not used to. I'm really not. I used to get into so much trouble because I actually would pull down the blinds. So they thought that they got me, but then I saw they had blinds, so I would pull down the blinds and create an enclosed fishbowl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, back in the day at the SABC, you had to walk around the studio to get to the bathroom. So I would then see you as you are looking at me as you are walking all the way around to the bathroom. And I mean, I would look at the clock. I would talk to the clock. I would, but now I can see you here. And I don't want to mess up my train of thought. I don't want to stop my flow. And now I'm battling with, now how does this look to this person? Because sometimes they would turn the sound down outside. So yeah, I am, and I'm doing all these things, and I'm loving my life, and I'm feeling it. And the people outside are going, something wrong with this girl inside, because they can hear nothing. So I think that played on my mind so much. I mean, back at UCT Radio, we had this tiny window, and yes, people would come and do this, but it was so small, I could still block them out. But imagine, like, wall to ceiling to floor, glass all the way around. Anyway, I found the blinds, and I pulled the blinds, and then I would get emails to say, Sugar, the people are saying they can't see you there in the
Malayalam
box.
is sini.
And then it was also, I mean, it's become such a visual thing now. And I'm just, it's so far out of my comfort zone that I still struggle with it a lot. Because I'm not arriving at work every day with a full face
Glam
of makeup
on.
and stuff. Sometimes I'm in my trainers, and because I want to be comfortable, there's a lot of energy that happens during the show, and we're busy, and I'm meeting guests, and I'm running around, and I'm pressing all my own buttons, and when the show starts, there's the energy and the feeling and the laughing and all of that stuff. So I like to be comfortable,
100%.
and sometimes I do struggle with that a little bit. But that's why I always have stuff with me, so I can quickly do a quick touch up in case there's a camera.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's a big part of it now. Letting shows live on social media
Yeah.
and extending it
That's
to
what I also
social
want to
media.
find out.
I was about to
Now,
ask the same
yes.
thing now. My next question was, like you said, cameras, social media. With that now being the era of the moment, how do you navigate that with being now on-air personality and now social media being in your space now
Yeah.
and being broadcast that side?
It's interesting. Innovation is always exciting for me. From where I started, literally taking the ad reel that looks like, if you can imagine a cassette, the young ones, they won't even know what that is.
Yep.
But if they go ask their moms and dads to just look at the cassette, pull that film out of the cassette, I imagine that. And I had to take that thing and string it into an apparatus that looked like a machine from a bygone era, literally from the 18th. That was how we had to put the ads in, so that we could play the ads to pay the bills for the radio station. The struggle was real. I mean, now it's digital. It's like a world away. But innovation and technology have always inspired me, mostly because with every single technological advancement, everybody has said, and now we announce the death of radio. Not.
True that.
I think I love that radio is still the most consumed medium,
That's
even
true.
with television, with social media, people having access to smartphones now. I love that more people. The access is what I'm
Yeah.
always after. But I'm loving the fact that technological advances are helping us, in terms of getting these stories out there. So, because also now people are consuming it in a different way. So, in order to stay relevant, we have to play in the spaces where the people are playing.
And evolve.
And evolve. And that's what I love too. Even my journey, it's daily lessons. It's not yearly lessons, it's daily lessons. I was thinking about one day when they said to us, guys, you need to start writing blogs. And I said, what? Does this guy know that we in radio? Does he know that we speak into a microphone? Why do I need to be writing a blog? But I get it now. It was the way the world was moving. It was the fact that people want to see who's behind the microphone. They don't just want to hear the
People are
voice.
pissed.
It's and visual is always going to be visual. Whether it was the TV presenters that we grew up watching on our TV screens, to now the content creators that we are watching on social media. And because people are consuming media in a different way, there is a challenge on us to catch up and start playing in the spaces. That's what we are now trying to do at work, for example, because there are snippets of us playing in that space, but we know we have to play there more.
Yeah.
And so, that means evolving for the radio station too. That means 3 permanent cameras in the studio. And that means that after the show, there's an edit, and that can live on social media to bring listeners back to the radio station tomorrow, where they'll see a continuation or something different. So it's just about learning, and it's about learning to play in the spaces and be comfortable playing there. And I think that's the challenge also.
You are so fascinating because it just seems like wealth of knowledge and experience. This is something I want to figure out with you as a seasoned radio personality. I wanted to say influencer, but you
She's been influencing people for since day one. Yes.
But there are, I know, people want to get into radio, but I want to figure out, besides the glam that we all see, since you're speaking of social media, since speaking of 3 cameras in the studio, everyone sees the glam with us. But what do people have to look out for with getting into this industry? Because we that know it I'm not even in the industry, but the industry is tough.
Cutthroat.
Yeah.
Hectic.
It's a very tough industry to firstly get into, and secondly to stay in. The way that we work, our models are different. It's, but gone are the days where people used to get 5-year contracts and things like that. The longest contract I've ever had at one time was 3 years. Other than that, it's yearly. So that adds a lot of pressure and stress. Because
So every year you
every year you have
to
to,
Yeah,
you have
so
to
it's very
reapply.
new.
Yeah, basically.
That's worse than government.
And I think, but I never thought about it like that too. I think, I feel that I've been very blessed. Let me say that.
Because you're good at your job.
You are.
That's very kind. Thank you. It's very difficult because I still feel like I'm not there yet. I still feel like, no, and maybe that's a me problem, and so I'm working on
I
it.
don't want you to say that's a problem, because sometimes being that hypercritical actually
100%.
helps you develop and grow.
Yeah. And I definitely think that has helped me get to where I am today, because I have done almost every show on the daytime lineup. I mean, I started out in the middle of the night, and I love that too. That's the way I've approached any place you've put me. I just want to do radio. So put me on 2 to 6 in the morning, do that. Put me on 6 to 10 at night. Put me on weekends. Well, wherever you put me, I'm going to plant myself there, and I'm going to try my best. But I was always chasing, everybody chases, and especially if somebody is doing this long term, and it's become my career now, 20 plus years, you want to go for those flagship shows. You want to go for the morning drives or the afternoon drives. And that was definitely part of my game plan. I didn't know if I'd ever get there, but I was determined to try. And I feel that being as critical every day, going through, I mean, I'm the last one at the studio. I'm sitting there quietly. I'm literally going through every single link that I've done because I want to be better tomorrow. And there's pressure to there's still pressure, and I welcome that, because I've put many years, my whole life, I've devoted my life to this, and I feel like I still have more to give. I don't feel like I'm done yet. I think at that stage, maybe I'll feel differently about it. But even with all the challenges, even with the ups and downs, and even with changes in salary, which sometimes happens, it's a choice you make to keep going, or if it's not for you, you fall off, or you go and you choose another path. But for me, all of the other opportunities, every other opportunity that came my way through radio. So this is always going to be my first love, and everything. And that's why I don't limit myself. I can do a lot, but I'm not using and have never used radio. And with respect, a lot of people do use it as a stepping stone to get somewhere else. So maybe get into TV, maybe. But for me, all of those opportunities have come through radio. And so, yeah.
Like you said, it's hard work to get in, and it's hard work to stay in.
Yeah.
It's even harder to stay on top at your game. And for you being so good at what you do, Suga, we can just commend you on that.
Oh.
And just you listen to your story, it just gives those people at home listening hope that you can do it too. And with hard work and determination, and be critical on yourself. Don't listen to the naysayers. Listen to yourself, because you are the only one that will sit in that room that want to do this and to become something you want to become. So Suga, for that, I thank you. But for people that don't really also know, not just radio is your first love, there's something else that Suga is also very much fascinated about. Also something to do with her name, Sugar. You are a qualified chef, Shugs.
Yes, I am a qualified chef. Crazy idea that I had.
Surprise!
I mean, we've got a food enthusiast here. Maybe y'all can chat about that.
I want to be eating something British.
So it was a crazy idea. A little bit of a backstory, especially with the school that I eventually ended up going to study at. Through the radio, we had done some work with the school. For example, we had listeners come and we had teams and we had cook-offs and things like that. Cooking for me wasn't a vibe growing up. Ask my mom and dad. I told you my job was to clean the kitchen. Clean the kitchen. And I love you, Dad. I love you. I really love you. But I used to fight with my dad because also, you see, the cooking was the thing that the girl does.
I was about to say now.
And no, for me, I didn't know because my dad was doing the cooking at home. So my dad is doing the cooking and my dad is telling me, you need to cook because you're the girl. And I'm like, but Dad, you didn't cook. My mom was working. My dad was working, but my dad would cook for us. And that was for me. I couldn't understand why my dad is saying I need to cook because, but he's cooking. So cooking for me was not a vibe. When I moved out of home when I was 21, I tried to move closer to work. So that was my mission. And also, I just wanted to get out of home. I wanted to be independent. So I moved out. I started working in my final year at the varsity. I got my first proper commercial radio job. The very next year, I bought my first car. Then I moved out of home. I paid back my student loan. I just wanted
The girl was determined.
I wanted to get out of there. And for the first, I don't know how many years, if it didn't say microwave in 3 minutes, I would not eat. I couldn't do it. My friend, may her dear soul rest in peace, her name is Daly. Somebody that I also met through the radio, she was a listener. And we started talking and I said, I don't cook, Daly. She bought me my first pot. And when I saw this pot, it looked like it was a toy pot. It was the smallest pot I'd ever seen in my life. It was a proper pot. It was from Heart Pots. And I started cooking in this pot. But she had given it to me as a joke. I could only make enough for me in that pot. It was so small. Fast forward a couple of years. Now I've got the degree. Now I'm working. Now I was thinking...
But they can ask, why the degree in cooking if cooking wasn't a vibe?
Man...
She's getting there,
So because through the course of stuff that we do on air, there were a lot of things that were from clients that involved cooking. And then also, we used to travel to Joburg. We used to have to be judges, when we go to the ad agencies and they've got a team building and maybe they've put themselves into groups and they've got having a cook-off. I was thinking, I want to be able to speak about this with knowledge.
Okay, overachiever.
So when somebody's talking to me about a stock pot, for example, I'd know exactly. If someone's
100%.
telling me about sous vide, I want to know what you're talking about. If you're talking to me about sauteing or, roasting or whatever, I want to know what you're talking about. Because I thought that I wanted another skill, a skill that I could use to make money, but I could also use as part of the radio to bolster that skill. So pick up another skill that I can use, that I can monetize, that I can develop.
That girl's got a plan.
So, and Capsicum, I remember a couple of years previously, we had done a lot of work with them. Just, by the way, I contacted so many schools, but they also thought I was mad. They thought, what are you doing? I mean, that beautiful Silwood, I'm still waiting for a response on my email. Love you, Silwood. But Capsicum responded the next day when I sent the email to say, look, this is crazy, but I want to come and study a diploma in food preparation and cooking. And they said, sure. When do you want to come and have a tour of the campus?
Stunning.
So the very next day, I had a tour of campus. By then, they had moved. In fact, they hadn't moved yet. They were still in Nabini, Sunrise Circle, that side of life, Maitland side.
They're now in Woodstock.
They are in Woodstock. So that was another full circle thing, because then they were literally opposite my apartment where I lived. So I could walk to school.
Fate.
It was. Because I started, and then I fell pregnant with my son. So they put me out of the kitchen, and 4 years later, I went back to finish my diploma.
Stunning.
When they had moved.
Nah, the universe.
When they had moved. So yeah, now I have a diploma in food preparation and cooking, and people say, my teachers also, and I still to this day, I don't feel like you can call me chef, because I don't feel like I've spent enough time in the kitchen, other than.
My kitchen's available for the practice.
Okay, yes, sure. But yeah, I feel like I'm not, even though I am qualified to be called chef.
You're not a practicing chef.
I'm not a practicing chef at this point. I mean, I cook for at home. I cook, for my little family. But yeah, a lot of people are. Even today, somebody said to me, "What are you doing with it? What are you doing with it?" And I think that's what's going to be your "What's next for Sugar" question. I was going to maybe tie that in because I'm just not sure yet. I know that I want to do something amazing with it. But the chefs that have been in it for years, they're all still telling me that I'm crazy, that I've got this career, I'm established. Why now do I want to start from the bottom again? And immediately, if you had to think like what is a dream for me, like I really want to have a food truck.
It's all happened, Sugar.
Yeah. But I want to cook on my food truck. I
Yes.
don't want to just have the food truck with amazing equipment and not be cooking on my food truck, which unfortunately sometimes happens. People.
Sugar goods. I mean, or sugar's goods.
I also want to make jam, so.
I'm just hearing the radio music puns here.
Jams, I love it.
Exactly. Sugar's jam.
Ooh. You heard it first, right here on Reality Bites.
Food truck vibes, I'm here for this. How do we invest?
Yeah.
Let's just drop your bank details.
Look at Jamie now trying to invest.
I love this. You see, this was meant to be too.
100%. So Sugar, for that young girl out there that is looking up to you, and they're like, I want to be in her shoes, or I want to follow in Sugar's steps. What message do you have for that girl that is being put down by saying, you can't do this? This is a boy's world. A boy can do this, but you can't.
I would say, don't listen to any of that. You must go for it. When I started in radio, there were three of us. My stance all through my career is that we need more representation. We need more female voices. There are more women that listen to the radio station than men. This is constantly coming out in all of our research, year in, year out. Women are, if you look at the home, women are sometimes, they are the ones, they are going shopping, they are, we need those kinds of stories to come out. We're living in a society where women are not protected, women are not safe. And that was part of the reason why it's so important to have women's voices telling the stories, talking about the fact that, for example, and I mean, these are the stories that I'm hearing. Women who get into Ubers are literally cutting off locks of their hair so that there is forensic evidence. They are touching the window frame so that their fingerprints are there. They are leaving behind things in Ubers, for example, because it's everywhere. Women don't feel safe anywhere. And so when I hear stories like that, I want to be able to tell that story. I want to encourage you to tell your story. I want you to use your voice. I think that's really the thing that I want to get across. Women, girls, for too long, we've been told, shh, shh,
Yeah.
shh, don't use your voice. Don't. I am here today. Please, you have to shout if you have to, but you have a voice. And if you've got a message, if you want to make a change in this world, you have to use your voice. And you have to use your voice. And together, when we use our voices, we can make a change.
Yep.
I'm here for this.
I'm here for that.
Inspiration station.
Wow.
Sure.
I'm left gobsmacked, but also so inspired because I also do not know the severity of how women do these things by leaving basically DNA behind
Basically,
because they're not safe.
No, the world is rough. Even with the things we do when you speak to people taking taxis, the hideous stories we hear of what happens on the streets.
Exactly.
It's sad.
Yeah, gender-based violence is real.
It's real. And it's a scourge, and we have to talk about it. You know, sometimes it's really frustrating for me, especially because I'm so passionate about it, to talk about it, and then the common conversation is, oh no, it's not all. It's not all. Yes, it's not all. But you as not all are not doing anything to say. You must come and say, it's not all. It's a everyone problem. And we need to talk about it. And people don't want to talk about it because it's painful. It's one of the things that we don't want to talk about because it's so painful. But people are experiencing this behind closed doors and not behind closed doors every single day. It's right there in front of us. You know, if you are walking down the road and you're seeing a fight happening, you're seeing an argument happening, and you're walking past, that is an example of it's not all, but I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm walking past, and so I am also. I'm in the all because I'm not saying, hey, what's happening here? What's happening here? You know, you're not calling for help. You're just quiet. You're not putting on your lights when you're hearing someone screaming in your street. You know, you don't even have to come out of your house. Just put on your lights so that whoever is involved with whatever's happening knows that there's someone around. I don't sleep. I always have a light on in my house. People say, how do you sleep with a light on in your house? I sleep with, always a light on because you must know, there's stuff happening here. There's stuff happening here. And if I hear anything, all of my lights go on. So that
they are aware
there's someone
somebody's
here,
listening,
and someone's taking notice of what's happening, and someone is taking action.
And for that, I will cheers to Sugar
Yes.
for being amazing
Cheers.
and for removing yourself from situations that's toxic to you.
Cheers. Oh, do we drink? Oh.
Oh, you can. It's lovely.
Oh, nice.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being raw and open up and just speaking from your perspective and just spilling the truth from your side, from your point of view. And I think both of us can walk away with an admirable feeling of being inspired.
Oh,
by
thanks,
Sugar.
guys.
You've been the inspiration, Sugar, really.
For many years, and now to
us and for
sit
everyone.
down, because I think this is my very first conversation with Sugar, and I am gobsmacked.
It's more than just a pretty voice, pretty face.
Inside and out.
Yeah.
And thank you for what you do to the world and the community and to our country for uplifting and telling the people that you are enough. Never take a no from no one. Go out there and make your own yes.
Use your voice.
And use your voice. Right? You heard it here from the woman herself, the icon, the legend from Sugar, saying you can use your own voice. And if you hear, guys, of anybody that's in an abusive relationship that is going through something that's tough that they don't want to speak about, be present, be focused in that moment and help where you can, because we're all here to help and support each other.
Yeah.
And your voice is important. Whether it's on social media, whether it's to the police, whether it's to someone that you can trust.
Or just putting on your lights.
Or just putting your lights
know that
on.
Someone is there. That can actually make someone feel seen. Yeah.
100%. The Sugar, once again, thank you. Any last messages you want to leave us with?
Look, I just wanted to say thank you very much for this opportunity. I know we've been trying to get out to each other for quite a while. It really is wonderful to be acknowledged. And I'm quite shy about it because I must say I don't hear it often. So when I do hear it, I really appreciate it. And I never really know what to say. So when you go, oh no, because and it's very difficult for me, but I really appreciate the kind words. And, I just wanted to, because this really sums up my life. It's a poem by Robert Frost. I know people can go and read it. I'm not going to read you the whole poem, but basically it's about coming to a crossroads, and there are two roads, and they look cool. Both of them look really great. You don't know what's around the corner. But for me, the last lines of that poem is two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. I really feel that is my life and my career. I've never gone the path
The conventional route.
that I was supposed to, or that maybe was prescribed to me, or what I should have done. But because I took this other path, all of my dreams have come true. Every single place I've wanted to travel to in the world, I've traveled to. I've been able to broadcast from islands. I've been able to do my show from the most incredible places. I've been able to see and meet the most incredible people, all of my heroes. And for that, I'm so grateful. Because I wanted to, Lenny Kravitz is the song now, and it's like, I'm only here to be human, I want to live this life while I'm alive. I feel like, time is so short, and how are you going to spend your time on earth? Are you going to make a difference? Are you going to make a change? Are you going to try and make people happy? Are you going to be happy? Because you only have this one life. So use it wisely and make the right choices. Choose wisely. Think about your life. Celebrate your life. And go get your life.
Get your life. Go fetch your life.
Go fetch it. Go get your life. Yeah.
So thank you for that, Sugar. And guys, remember, if you can't get it, go fetch it.
Yes.
Listen to Sugar on HeartFM 104.9, 3 to 6 drive, She's the girl, she's the voice, she's the one that has the music covered. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment on our page. Until next time. Oh, wait, hold on. It'll be the last you see this one, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
I'll be
Maybe.
back.
Thank you for joining.
It was amazing. It was so good.
I'm happy that you could sit here.
No, thanks, Lucian.
Hey, what's
Thanks,
Sugar?
Thank
Old
you.
friends.
Old friends.
I am still in shock. Love you guys. Thank you so much.